Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today. The launch of the Audible, not augmented, disrupted. I have with me today Sam and Barbie, and maybe we can start from a quick intro, and then we can get into the heart of the conversation today, human versus AI. So I'm Mehdi, the CEO at Yegatech and the author of Augmented and the co-author of Disrupted. And yeah, we help architecture, engineering, construction firms and manufacturing firms to develop an AI strategy and execution plans. And we're excited to share with you about our Disrupted book journey. Sam?
Hi everyone, thanks for either watching it live or offline. This is Sam. I'm the president of Yegatech. As Mehdi mentioned, we're helping companies with their AI strategy and also how to prepare the whole organization for the age of AI. And I'm here with amazing Bari because we're going to launch the audio book version of Disrupted in just a couple of days.
Hi, I'm Barbie, and it's just been my pleasure to narrate this book, Disrupted. And I'm a voiceover actor, so I help authors bring their books to life and companies bring their projects to life. So that's what I do.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Barbie. Thank you, Sam. Let's start with the first question of why did we write this book? Sam, you want to take that?
Sure. So one of the main reason is that in the last few years, we've trained and educated over 9,000 professionals within the industry. And Media and I, we notice a pattern in terms of the questions that executives and leadership they have, and we thought it's better to document our responses in a book and make it accessible for everyone, because one of our mission at Gigatech is making sure that knowledge is democratized and is available to anybody across the world. And that's the other reason that we just made our AI course published on YouTube for free. And the rationale behind the book was like making sure that everyone has their basic questions answered and helping them to move forward, getting to the next stage and not just being stuck with the questions that they have today. And the other benefit of writing this book for myself was just frame what we know, what we've experienced, and create a framework that is not just only usable by us, but by everyone within the industry. And maybe I'm sure you have your own reason.
Yeah, so I remember one of the keynotes that we had, and coming back from that trip, where we had with some of the biggest companies, CEOs and CTOs and executives. Most of the conversation was around, we as the technology leaders in the company are very on board, but our senior executives, our board members, our CEOs are not on board, and they think about AI as like a technology initiative in the company. And we started thinking how we can help the CEOs and the board members to see AI as more like a transformational journey for their companies and not just a technology initiatives and to that they just throw it to the technology leaders. So that was one of the reasons we also wrote this book specifically for senior executives in the company. Now, I want to talk to Barbie a little bit about Barbie. Why did you decide to narrate this book?
Well, I whenever I narrate a book, I get the manuscript, of course, and I take a look at it and see if we're a good fit and a good match. But this book was well, first of all, the book is well written. I mean, super well written. So I knew it was going to be um, not a big chore for me to try to narrate something that is flows the way the book flows. But on top of that, it was just so interesting from my perspective, just as a person on the planet that is seeing AI evolve and not being in the industry that your target audience is in. I still found this very interesting and looked forward to being a part of it. Just the history behind the AI involvement and different companies that have didn't incorporate technology that the way other companies did, and were left behind. So some of the stories that you tell in this book I just found really relatable, and just something that I could get a hold of, and maybe tell this story in a way that people would really be able to hear what you're trying to tell them. And so that's kind of what drew me in.
Yeah. Was there any
I,
part of go ahead, sorry.
before you go to the next question, I just want to jump in and say, Frank Balak, if you watched this, thanks so much for connecting Barbie to us. It was a great experience working with her. I just passed her the file, and then she took care of everything. Yeah, thanks, Frank.
Yes, absolutely. Let me hop in and say thank you too, because I mean that's how we were even you even were aware of me, and this opportunity came to me to work on this book with you, is because of another audiobook narrator who thought this would be a good project for me, and a good match for the two of us, or the three of us. So
Yeah,
yeah, Frank is amazing. If you're looking for an audiobook narrator, a guy, contact Frank. He's great.
Yeah.
yeah.
Super
He
guy
And
too.
helped me with his book.
yeah, Frank narrated Augmented, the first book. Um, he's amazing. Enjoyed
Yeah, he's
working
great.
with him. So Barbie, you were talking about some of the narratives and the stories in the book. So I'm kind of curious, was there any part of the book or any story that resonated with you or surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, one of the themes of your book that uh, really stuck with me was when you were talking about how people react to AI a lot of times, like an initial reaction to AI that is a lot of times negative, or fearful, or, just we have this tendency to not to be afraid of the things that we don't really know a lot about. And so what I appreciated was you taking us as the readers from a place of that fear to seeing what AI can do, not to replace our work, but to help us bring more value to our work. And you were talking about a specific situation and scenario where people had a certain time period to provide complete a project for a client. And within that time, I believe some of them were using AI, and I might be getting this wrong. But the ones who were using AI found that it's not that they finished the project sooner, but it was the fact that they utilized AI, looked at it was enabling them to see a bunch of different ways to work on this project, and the opportunities, and they were able to provide the best value to the client in the end, in the same amount of time that other people were only able to provide this amount of value. Because they had AI helping them, they were able to provide this amount of value. And that's kind of how I looked at it. So to me, that just sort of opened my eyes. And there really shouldn't be so much fear around these things. I mean, there's so much value to be considered. I mean, in GPS and all the things that we've been using AI for years, um, and haven't really thought about it as we're using AI. And now we have a little bit more value to add to our lives with this. So I appreciated that a lot. It opened my eyes.
Awesome. Awesome. Sam, do you want to add anything to that?
Um, That it's like I second what Barbie mentioned in terms of shifting the feelings, emotions from fear to like seeing the opportunity. And AI, as you mentioned, Barbie, it has been around for many, many years. It's just kind of like more tangible and available for everybody. And it's good to understand like how we can utilize it better in a good way.
Yeah. I remember as Barbie was talking, I remembered in my mind a photo that I saw for taxi drivers in London. So they used to get trained on how to navigate the city for 2 years before they can apply to get their taxi driving license. And now imagine, because navigation was a big deal, back in the days
Mm.
in London, and they had to really go through this very extensive period of time before getting their license. And imagine now with AI that is being democratized, and not only you can navigate that flawlessly, you have all the traffic data and accident data and police data and whatever data just in your thumbnail. And sometimes we take this for granted.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome. So, Barbie, you talk a little bit about augmentation of human capabilities, and it's not a replacement, but it's augmentation. And this is one of the things that you took from the book. So I'm going to talk to Sam about the narration of the book. You could have decided to go with the AI and say, okay, AI narrate this. You could have trained your AI voice and have the AI to narrate this, or you could have gone to a narrator, Amazing Barbie, to do that. So you had two paths, and as a AI leader, why did you choose to go with human and not AI?
There are multiple reasons. First of all, I personally feel because of the pandemic, the human connection is less strong, is kind of weaker, or we are like less connected together. And I want to have more human connection, right? If I had AI narrate the book, I didn't have this opportunity to know Barbie and have someone in Florida that I can talk to, or even have this session and discuss it, like how we could have this gathering, three of us together with people watching and also hearing us about our experience. I think that experience piece could be missing from making the Audible available. And I wanted to experience that. For me, like it's my first book, and I wanted to make sure that I'm experiencing everything in a tangible way. And the second reason for that is I don't think AI is there yet in terms of understanding the context. Like yesterday, I was like, make a word in a ASCII format, and the AI system ChatGPT just picked up the word and not comes up with something else. And I was like, oh, okay. Like now I understand that it doesn't understand the context itself. And when we were listening to Barbie's voice, it was really like connection between us. Like I was laughing where I was supposed to laugh because of the way that Barbie narrated the book itself. And I don't think with AI we could get to that point that having emotion inside the voice itself. And maybe it has like is an up and down, but it didn't have the emotion there. So for me, experience and emotion was two main pieces to be included in the Audible version.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that you
Yeah,
liked to use a human and not an AI for that job.
yeah. And I didn't have time to train the AI system. For me, it's just I emailed the file to Barbie and she made the magic happen. So
So, so,
Well, as
so,
I would just want to add one quick thing that when I first read through the manuscript, the other thing that struck me was you all needed, the two of you needed to just write a book about your credentials because there's so many in there. And I thought, if anybody can speak to this subject, it is definitely the two of you. So I just wanted to
thank,
mention that.
thank
Thank you, Barbie. You're so kind. One thing that Sam you mentioned, and I wanted to double click on that, is around a AI understanding the content, but not the context. Oftentimes, with where AI is today. I remember, leaving my hotel in New Orleans. I was in a conference, I had a talk, and I said, okay, I want to go to the French Quarter and see what this New Orleans is all about. So I left the hotel, went to French Quarter, just, explored the city a little bit. And when I wanted to come back, I said, okay, what's the closest path from where I am to the hotel? And the AI gave me the shortest path. And as I was going through that neighborhood, that area, it was so scary. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I spend maybe 5 more minutes taking a longer path, but I, was going through a different neighborhood and with a better experience. So AI knows the content and based on the objectives and goals, and it's going to give you an answer, but oftentimes it doesn't know the context, the big picture of what is going on there. And for for us, when you're narrating a book, there are lots of things that we put in there. I was talking to Sam about it. It was like a phrase like, "How did you do that?" You can read it as is, "How did you do that?" Or "How did you do that?" Or "How did you do that?" So, and all of these
Mhm.
have a different meanings, and depending on
Yeah.
the context and the situation, you need to interpret that, and you need to, use your judgment and arts and all the things that goes into it. So it's really art and science to be able to do that. And I don't think, based on where we are today, these AI systems can do that.
Yeah, it's
Can do
true. I
that
mean,
or can do
you
that.
you th you know, you hear about AI, training the AI. I mean, in the AI is training us too, but exactly what you said, because even if, you could tell me in real time, can you change this and make it a little more this way or do this, or can we want to feel a layer of empathy right here, and I can switch that right away for you. And I don't know if AI can do all of those things in real time like that or not. Maybe it can, but um, I think it's the nuances that you get right now with the human voice if you're working, for the voiceover. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And as we were listening to your voice, there were certain times I go, "Oh my God, that she nailed it. Like, I love that laugh. I loved it. Like how you raised your tone of voice." Um, Maybe in the future, this AI system will have capabilities to kind of to tweak that or tune that. But where we are today, we don't have those capabilities. It could be a lot of work for a lot of authors to do that.
You know what would have been fun for me is to watch you. I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall, listening to you, watching you listen to the listen to the book being read. That would make me so happy to
Um,
see that you were happy with it. But I'm glad you were. Yeah.
That was perfect.
yeah, fun.
Oh, yeah. So, Sam, this is a question for Sam. How did you think about making this book more engaging and not just a bunch of information uh, jumbled together?
I think you partially touch on that, like how we brought our experience in the book, and we worked together to write the book, and we had about 9 drafts, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we started from like somewhere and we ended up somewhere else. It was fun, but I have the whole 9 drafts printed in my in my like library shelf. But how we tried to make it like more engaging was including more stories. Like Barbie actually shared a few, like how someone used that AI system and tried to experience more alternatives rather than just getting into one output at the beginning. We try to bring our experience and what we've seen within our day-to-day work into the book so people can see how it's happening in other places and in other use cases. And the other thing was like connecting what happened in the past within like industrial revolution, within like the internet disruption, everything, and how it could be similar, like what with AI itself. So those stories can stick with people, they can remember it, and they kind of can get connected to what happened in the past too. And what I was going to say and I forgot, but I think like we try to include more stories so people can see the evidence of how it was in the past, how we could manage it and go through it, and how we can learn from past and bring those experience into what's happening today. I don't know
Yeah.
Yeah,
if I
I found
answered
it.
your question, I did. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to just say I found it so interesting how you did share the different eras, the different time periods, and what was going on, and how everything has evolved. And story like the story you shared about the Netflix and Blockbuster. Those are just stories that you could probably maybe go find them somewhere, but you don't hear about this and all the details of this and how it impacted a whole industry really. So
Yeah.
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 And
One thing, Matt, you just wanna add here, like I'm receiving several emails or LinkedIn messages, like this book should be read by everyone and not just AEC. I think if I go back to like 2 years ago, I make it available for everyone and not just AEC. Like that's the feedback that I'm getting from the readers that like this book must be read, but by everyone.
Book two.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And also, I want to add that when we were writing this book in our AI keynotes, AI workshops or other training sessions we have, we often ask the executives that come to those sessions that what are the biggest questions that you have in your mind. So before even we write the book, we start analyzing the questions, and we said, okay, this book should answer some of the most common questions that senior executives have in their organizations. And yes, I think we have some examples related to AEC, but really it's a book that could be applied in any industry.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, so let's go back to Barbie. Barbie, a lot of our audience are senior executives in corporations, and how do you typically help these corporate leaders, and what type of services you offer to corporates?
Yeah, good question. Well, a lot of people are not very familiar with voiceover other than maybe for, cartoons or animation features or, maybe a couple of other audiobooks. But as far as for companies, um, if you've got a product or a service that you're wanting to advertise, your chances are you're going to have a voiceover actor that you need to acquire the services of, somebody that will represent your brand well, that'll represent your product well, that understands, your culture and all of those things. And that's what a voiceover actor does for commercials. Also for businesses, we do um, explainer videos, which are housed on, I don't know if you're familiar, but most people, if you go to a website for a company, there's going to be a video on there many times talking about the product or the service that they provide. And so that's a voiceover for that. And again, every time you hire somebody for this job, it really is a representative of who you are, what your culture is, who your clients are, um, the people that you're selling to, and that you represent all of those assets. And a voiceover actor has a lot of training, so you know uh, and I'm not going to go through all of that stuff. You see, I'm in a studio, a sound treated studio. We've got a lot of acting experience and coaching and learning and technical, and we provide all of those things. We also do. I personally do a lot of corporate training type work. Um, Medical device training, and just anything where you need a voice to represent you well and to communicate for you really well. So those are the things I do.
Awesome.
Barbie, I just want to say, beside having that wonderful, amazing voice that I can listen to it forever, you're really easy to work with. It's just like you know what to do, and communication, everything with you was like easy and like so straightforward and also transparent. I feel like I'm grateful to have you in this journey.
Well, thank you so much. And I feel the same way. It's always a pleasure to find somebody to partner with that you have an easy back and forth and it's fun and you understand, what's being communicated. It's quick communication. You're not sort of waiting and wondering, do they understand? Did they get this? Did they receive my email? So I really
Yeah.
appreciate working with the two of you as well, because it was such a pleasure. And, I
Thank
hope we
you.
can in the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Barbie. And as you were explaining, one thing came to my mind is that a lot of companies we work with, and all companies must have AI policy in place. And oftentimes companies just throw the AI policy and say, this is our policy. But having an explainer video about the policy and having someone to explain that to the people in the organization will have a profound impact, because if you don't do that, you're basically putting your company at risk.
That's a good point, and you bring up something that I now do in my business. Speaking of all of this AI, is that I now have to put a rider on my contracts that you will not sell my voice to a third party, that you will not clone my
Oh,
voice or use it for any other purpose other than the one which you have paid for. And, we didn't have to do that a few years ago. Nobody was even thinking about that for the most part, but it is so prevalent now, that, we do have to protect our voice, because that's my product, is my voice. And I sell it to you for a certain period of time, for a certain usage, for, all these things. So, yeah, there's all the ethics surrounding that, but people are trying to get a lot of training involved and understanding how that integrates into their businesses for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm here for you.
yeah.
This is awesome. Um, all right, so the last question is, what do you hope listeners take away from this book?
Uh,
Who, me?
To
yeah,
everyone.
go ahead.
What did you wait? I didn't hear your question. I hope that was for Sam.
So,
I
what
hope
do
that
you
was for
hope
Sam.
listeners take away from the book?
Would you like me to go first? Let me go first. For me, seeing it more than just a tactical initiative, and Mehdi touched on that earlier at the beginning of this session, and seeing it as a transformational initiative, and for making it happen, think about your people, your employees. You can't proceed without their support, without onboarding them. And it's not just about the executive level, it's about the whole organization, the employees that are doing the day-to-day work, to the management level itself. You need to onboard everyone and give them a space for thinking, give them a space for innovation and understanding this new era. And also looking at your business models, like see what's possible. Bringing AI solution to the company is good. It's not a bad thing to do, because there are companies out there that just ignoring it. Do this, but also think about your business, think about your operation, like how those might be impacted, how you need to prepare your process for taking advantage of what's happening next, what opportunities that are out there. I think right now we are really busy trying to experience different tools, different AI solutions, and we're forgetting that our business would be impacted, our process would be impacted itself. And the example I make is like back in time, people used to keep ice in the wooden box, and then the fridge was invented. They were still keeping the fridge inside the wooden box. So let's not do that. Let's see how our process should be changed.
Thank you, Sam. And for me, as you said, I'm going to double down on the cultural part, because in the book we talk about how to prepare your culture, how to prepare your business model and operating model. Um, I think one of the things that I want people to take away from this is that it's, as you said, it's beyond technology, but it starts with people. And how should you prepare your people to go from the state of fear into the state of excitement? Because if we don't do that, nothing's going to happen. It's going to, you bring the most advanced technology that people are afraid to use, this is the big waste of money for the organization and for everyone. So it really starts from people and it starts from the culture. And you've got to build that culture of innovation in your organization to really succeed in the era of AI. Barbie, how about you?
I'm just thinking the value that AI brings is a value for the purpose of helping other people. And that's what you really bring out in this book. It's that and the concept of change is inevitable. And if you are looking at change as a bad thing, then it then you won't change and it will be bad for you. But if you look at change and innovation and the things that are new, and you latch on and find a way to make those help what you're doing and benefit you and benefit those that you're serving around you, then it's going to be wonderful, you know, and it's going to be a great opportunity for everybody that you're interacting with and that you're working with. So that's what I take away from it.
No.
I have one question, or maybe an ask from Barbie. Um, you read the book, you narrate the book. I'm wondering, and you mentioned some similarities between what we mentioned in the book and the narrator community itself. I'm wondering if you have any advice for your community in terms of how they should respond to AI. I'm sure there are some fears within
Oh
that
yeah.
community.
Yes. Well, I do. I feel like it's just like any other. We're no different than other people out in the world. There are a lot of people who are, you know, running scared like their hair's on fire out the back door and worried that there's just not going to be any work left for audiobook narrators or for voiceover actors in general, that, you know, we're just going to be squashed by AI. And then there's other people who are looking into other ways to use AI to help it benefit them. I mean, we're even talking about training, you know, training our own, selling our own voice to be used, but under our discretion, our model, an AI model of our voice, and for us to have control of that. So, I mean, we're having discussions about it all the time in the voiceover world because it is going to impact us in different ways. We're just not sure where. And I mean, I know it's impacting the medical field a lot, but I have a client that I got that was using AI, and kind of like you, they they decided they wanted to work with a human for the rest of the things they were doing. This was a this was a corporate medical job, and they said, you know what, not only just for the interaction, but also because there's legalities that they're still having to work out and figure out, especially in the medical world and some of the technology world. So it just is a simpler process sometimes to use the human. So there's still, you know, there's a lot of things, but we just have to grow and learn with it and figure it out and not be scared, you know, and just sort of embrace the change, embrace the ride. Sometimes it feels like we're falling down a cliff without a parachute, but you know, it is what it is. So I think anything we can learn to help us feel better about it and understand a little more is a good thing.
That's great. And thanks so much again for all your support. And yeah,
Yeah,
This
thank
is
you.
Barbie, when you're saying that, it reminded me of that's why we picked the name of the book, Disrupt It, because the goal is to disrupt your business, yourself,
Mhm.
your status quo before being disrupted by others. And you know, the change is just part of this, and um, learning more about it and seeing what it can do can help a lot of us to embrace it more and yeah, start changing the industry.
Great title.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
So with that, this is the end of our audiobook launch. Thank you everyone for joining us today. So Sam and Barbie, do you have any final closing thoughts you want to share?
no, I just can't wait for this to be available on Amazon, Spotify, or different platforms that people are searching for audiobook, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it. I mean, for your business and organization.
Coming soon.
Coming
Yes.
soon in a couple of weeks, right?
No days.
Days, in a
Days,
couple of days.
days.
Yeah.
Very,
Or
very soon, very soon.
very
Yeah.
soon. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us again, and we'll see you around.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.